Let's start with a piece of trivia. The European release of King's Field famously ran at 17 frames per second. Verho Curse of Faces includes an option to mimic that exact frame rate, a subtle nod to where this style of dark fantasy dungeon crawling began. This game isn't pretending to be a modern Souls-like. It's intentionally reaching back to the roots that inspired the genre in the first place. The game takes place in Yariv, a land where seeing another person's face means instant death. That single rule wiped out almost the entire world, and for nearly 300 years, masks have been the only thing keeping humanity alive. The person who uncovered the truth behind the curse, a figure known as the Maker, created the masks that allowed people to stand near one another again, and his work shaped everything that followed. When you step into this shadowed, low-poly world, your first act is choosing a mask. One of 7 options that define your starting class, your stats, your starting equipment, and the backstory your character carries. Each mask pushes you in a different direction, and those early choices matter. I spent 29 hours in this place, fighting through its traps and uncovering its secrets. Verho demands a high price for entry, but there's a reward behind the difficulty. So let's talk about what that cost actually feels like. Combat is built around slow, deliberate movement. There's no stamina bar, just health, mana, and experience. Your attacks have weight, and charging your strikes becomes the core of your rhythm because normal swings feel far too weak. You step in, release a heavy blow, and step out before the counter-attack lands. Enemy health appears on screen the moment combat starts, which helps you judge how close you are to ending a fight. Dodging relies almost entirely on movement, weaving, backing up, circling, or keeping away from danger. The game technically gives you a backstep, but it's tied to blocking, and it's so short that most attacks still catch you. There are no armor sets and no defense stat. Staying alive comes from increasing your health, learning enemy patterns, spacing correctly, and choosing the right moments to engage enemies. Healing is straightforward. There are no healing spells here, and there's no flask system. You rely entirely on potions you loot or buy, and breakable objects often drop more. Those breakables respawn too, which means if you're running low, you can farm enough to stay alive. It adds a bit of old-school resource management to the tension, especially during long stretches without an altar. Mask altars are where you level up, rest, and fast travel. Resting respawns enemies, while simply touching the altar saves your progress without bringing them back. And that distinction matters because dying forces you to reload your last save. There's no regaining lost currency here. You just lose all progress since your last checkpoint. Saving frequently becomes part of the strategy. So why endure all that tension? Because the world itself is worth exploring. A dedicated jump button gives the developers room to play with verticality. You climb, drop, and move through layered spaces that hide secrets everywhere, including false walls that lead to special items.